Hello, Dexter Morgan.
Am I dead?
Not yet. But almost being killed by someone you're fond of has its own particular sting. Hey, Dexter?
I told my son to shoot me. He was following the code.
A pretty fucked up way to look at patricide.
Well, Harrison's lived a pretty fucked up life, thanks to you.
Wait, you think Harrison's my fault? That I'm the bad guy? If you hadn't thought that you could live the dream, your wife would still be alive. And your son wouldn't have been left to sit in a pool of his own mother's blood, just like you were at the same age. Maybe your precious son wouldn't have become a father killer like me.
He is nothing like you.
Let me give you a little advice. Serial killer to serial killer. Where you went wrong was thinking you could have it all. A family and your dark passenger.
Hello, all. Welcome back to What's On Tonight, a podcast with elaborate, quirky, and unpredictable conversations about TV, movies, and more. I'm Becky.
And I'm Mark.
Today we are covering Dexter Resurrection, episodes 1 and 2, A Beating Heart and Camera Shy. Please note this is a spoiler-filled podcast, so if you haven't watched the episodes yet and don't want to be spoiled, just come back and check us out after you've finished watching. But before we dive into the episodes, I want to welcome Mark. Mark, you hear us, Mandy and I mention him at the end of all of our podcasts. He's our fearless leader with Pirate Corps, and he graciously agreed to be my Mandy because I could not talk Mandy into covering this one with me. So Mark will be with me for the remainder of the coverage for this show, and we're going to have some special guests that'll be joining us. So thank you, Mark, so much for being here.
Thank you for having me on. We did cover the last Dexter show, which was really cool. We did a whole
Dexter?
synopsis.
What was that? Dexter. Oh my God, what was that called? No, not Reborn.
Was it Reborn?
It was Reborn. Anyway, it's the one where we get young Dexter, and there's going to be another season of that. So Mark will be, hopefully, I'm going to speak for him, but hopefully Mark will be back with me to cover that one too.
Oh, trust me. I love talking Dexter. I just love the idea of the character, how they progressed with it and where they came within the original show all the way to this now. Michael C. Hall has so much invested in the character.
Yeah.
After overcoming his cancer and everything else, he kind of invested himself into this particular character, which he loves. A lot of people do love. I'm one of those people, as strange as it is, we all are attracted to this weird serial killer. So Dexter Resurrection is a continuation of Dexter New Blood, which is picking up a few weeks after the end of Dexter. You have the original Dexter series. Then you have New Blood, which takes place years later, where Harrison meets, and spoilers, yes, he meets his dad. So if you haven't watched it, go back and watch it and see that whole storyline and where it is. But they do give you a recap before we get to the new show, which is Resurrection. So in this particular episode, we start off with Dexter Resurrection, episode 1, called A Beating Heart. And it was directed by Marco Siega and written by Clyde Phillips and Scott Reynolds.
And episode 2, Camera Shy, was directed also by Marcos Siega and written by Scott Buck. So, my dear Mark, would you please tell us the synopsis for episode 1? And just to credit, I got these from Wikipedia.
The synopsis for episode 1 is: now living in New York City and working as a bellhop at a hotel, Harrison gives into his own dark urges and murders Ryan Foster, a sexual predator who is attempting to rape a drunken Shauna, one of the hotel guests who is here for medical conference. Dexter, having survived the shooting, is living comatose for 10 weeks, during which various faces from his past push him to live. And those flashbacks were crazy, by the way.
I loved them.
As he undergoes physical therapy to recover, Dexter is visited by Teddy Reed and Angel Batista. The two reveal that Angela, after discovering that Logan shot at Dexter in his cell, recanted her allegations of him being the Bay Harbor butcher with a note from Angela suggesting that she did it to repay Dexter for solving her friend Iris's murder. Matt Caldwell, his murder has been attributed to his serial killer father, while Logan's has been ruled self-defense. However, Angel is now suspicious of his former best friend's guilt in the Bay Harbor butcher case and has Dexter legally declared alive. So now he is not Jim Morgan anymore. Or what was his name?
Jim Lindsay.
Jim Lindsay. There we go. I knew it was a Jim. After learning of the murder Harrison committed, Dexter, still in a weakened physical state, escapes from the hospital in search of his son. So, yeah, it kind of goes off the rails a little bit, but I do have questions regarding certain things, but we'll get into that when we get into the discussion.
Almost there. So the synopsis for episode 2 is Dexter investigates the crime scene and cleans up blood splatter evidence that Harrison had missed. Dexter is urged by his dark passenger in the form of Harry to guide his son, but he is reluctant to upend Harrison's life, preferring to protect him from a distance. Reclaiming his real identity, Dexter rents an apartment and buys a car, settling into life in New York. Dexter meets a rideshare driver named Blessing Kamara, and I love that name, Blessing, and befriends him. While talking with Blessing, he learns of a serial killer called the Dark Passenger, who is targeting immigrant rideshare drivers. Dexter identifies the killer as Ronald Schmidt, but chooses to save the life of Schmidt's next victim over getting the kill, a change from how Dexter has operated in the past, as he now cares about other people. After Dexter's disappearance, Angel attempts to find him with the help of Teddy, and haunted by his killings, Harrison sells Dexter's truck, which he still owns. So, yay or nay on these first 2 episodes?
I give it a yay cumulative, but if I were to give a dedicated overall 1 to 10 evaluation of it, I'd give it a 7.5 of how they were able to execute it. But there are those little things that take away for the 2.5 of my voting for, like, certain questions I had about certain characters of the past, things of that nature, what happened previously, where they were, flashbacks in any way that they probably omitted due to time. But overall, I was satisfied in the sense of, okay, you've intrigued me. I want to watch what happens next after this.
Same with me. I'm a yay for both. The first episode, I would give a solid 9. The second episode, I'm with you. I would probably give it maybe an 8, 7.5, 8. There were just a few things in both episodes, but mainly the second episode where it was just kind of like, I'm going to have to just do a little suspension disbelief here and not think too hard about some of these things. But overall, it is great to have Dexter back on our televisions. Michael C. Hall's amazing. I'm very excited about the guest stars that are going to be popping up throughout the remainder of the series. So, yeah, like you said, they got me intrigued and they made me want to keep watching. So I'm going to say yay for now.
And by the way, listeners, if you are not a subscriber of Paramount Plus, there's a cool thing that's out there. You could get it for 2 months for 99 cents. So if you're not able to get it right now at the full cost, you could do it for 99 cents for 2 months. We're not getting paid by Paramount Plus, by the way.
You're not, but we want you all to get in on this.
It's highly recommended. So you could do that after 2 months. You could actually just say, I'm done with it. All right.
And if you do have regular cable with Showtime, it is airing. The Paramount drops on Friday. On cable, it drops on Sunday. So
Yeah.
you can still watch it if you don't have Paramount Plus with Showtime. But you do have to have Showtime. So we're going to start with what I'm calling killer moments. Ha ha ha. See what I did there?
Yes, you did.
My big killer moment in this first episode, there's a lot we can break down, but I loved the flashbacks. I knew we were going to see Batista, but if y'all know me and have listened to any of our other podcasts, I do not dive too deep into reading articles about the show and what's going to happen because I like to be as surprised as I possibly can.
Same here.
So I knew Uma Thurman, I know Peter Dinklage is coming, but I did not know we were going to get John Lithgow back as the Trinity Killer for a minute.
Oh.
Miguel was going to pop back in. So when those happened, it was just so exciting. And then for them to like go all out and bring Stokes back, it was like, yeah, surprise, motherfucker. That was just freaking classic. But what I really liked about the way they brought these flashbacks back and the conversations that they were having with Dexter is they really honed in on where Dexter went wrong, where he failed in the original series, and then with Harrison at the end of this previous season is where he tried to have it all. In the end of the first series, you know, he wanted the wife, the kids, the perfect family, and still have his dark passenger. And that's what got Rita killed. That's why Harrison ended up the way Harrison did. And then he tries again in Reborn to have all this again with when Harrison shows up on his doorstep to have this relationship, this family with Angela, and it ends up getting him almost killed, I guess I should say. So I think that was a great jumping off point for the episode. And I loved seeing those guys back. As creepy as Trinity Killer was, I thought the messages that they delivered were fantastic.
Yeah, I love the fact that we did get John Lithgow as a vision of himself as the Trinity Killer and representing in Dexter's mind very much how his father was with Harry, if you with James Remar, and him coming into play at some points too in reflection. We don't get the version that we did get with Dexter Reborn or Born Again, and because we got Christian Slater within that, but we still get Jimmy Smits as Miguel Prado. We do get the original flashbacks of Dokes, and that's about it. We don't get the original actor coming back as Dokes, but that's fine because they conveniently put in specific clips of Dokes, but he goes, well, Dokes didn't really like me that much. And then it was every cursing moment that Dokes had. It's like, you're a strange one. Oh, F you, Dexter. And so blah, blah, blah. It was so weird.
Hold on. I only watched once, but I'm pretty sure that what you're talking about was when he was talking to Batista.
Correct.
And Batista says, okay, well, I thought Dokes was the Bay Harbor Butcher.
Yeah.
But before that, Dokes shows up in his dreams, and those aren't flashbacks. Those are new moments.
Okay.
So, because he talks about how there is he sees a kernel of good in Dexter, which really, I think, planted the seed. And Harry reiterates in episode 2 when he says, you didn't go for the kill, you saved that guy.
That is true. Okay. You have to realize, listeners, I only watched this once straight through, so my memory is terrible. So I thought it was very interesting. The fact it's like maybe the actor presented it perfectly in a sense where it looked like a flashback to me in a sense. Oh, wow. That's great acting in my opinion at that point. But we do have them around, and he's flooded within his memories. He's got to go through this physical therapy. We get Batista there, and you could see in Batista's face, you already know he's there for a mission when he sits him down, especially with the the sandwich he brings him.
I liked it when Batista showed up, and the first thing Dexter says in his mind is, please let this be another hallucination. And I'm glad Batista didn't just walk in and hug him and be like, oh my God, I'm so glad you're okay, which he did say, but I'm glad that Batista was honest. And it's like, why did you disappear? What happened with Deb? Why did you fake your own death? And yeah, you lost a lot, but we lost you. You're my brother. I lost you. And that he doesn't let Dexter off the hook. Well, I thought you were the Bay Harbor Butcher. I get this long story from Angela, and then all of a sudden she backtracks it. I love that he brought up LaGuerta and how LaGuerta was gone.
Yeah, LaGuerta was a key point within the Bay Harbor Butcher scenario and the original series at the very end. And it was a very key moment with him and Deb in, of all things, a container.
Yeah.
And then him having to take out, and Deb was right there at that point.
Didn't Deb kill LaGuerta?
I think so.
To save Dexter's image or whatever. I think that's when she crossed over.
She crossed over and crossed the line. And then, of course, Dexter had to clean up, as he always does. But the thing is, I'm glad that they brought that up. But the whole thing about Angela.
That was a bit of suspension of disbelief. That was a bit too convenient.
It's like she just kind of like packed up house, left town, said to the new chief, hey, you're in charge. And that's it. And when Batista shows, he reinstates his name as being Dexter Morgan. Now, that's genius in writing in a sense, but taking over the whole Angela thing, that was, to me, that was a little bit of poor writing. There should have been some sort of follow-up or flashback of why she did what she did. Maybe they didn't cast Julia Jones to come back as Angela to do these flashback scenes, or maybe it was time constraint within filming. Who knows? I loved getting David Zayas as Angel Batista back, and he is perfectly who the character is at every given moment, even when we saw him in New Blood. And I thought it was great when he made his return in that, and he's able to bring it and be that character again. Because you could see it within these two episodes. There's an underlining investigative look, and he's still holding some things about LaGuerta and everything that happened, because he was married to LaGuerta at one point.
And he loves Dexter. I mean,
and he does love Dexter.
Loves Dexter. When he said, I lost my brother, he meant that. I hope that throughout the remainder of this season, because I don't see how this can end without Batista figuring out Dexter. He's doing such a great job of playing two sides. He's playing this guy who genuinely cares and loves this guy, but also sees past Dexter's bullshit now and knows that this guy is a serial killer and somehow has conveniently managed to get away with this for all of these years. And he has to do something about it. So I am so excited to watch this play out. And I am so grateful that this actor chose to come back and the writers chose to write him back into the story, because I think that is what, along with every other great actor that they've hired on for this season, I feel like this dynamic between Batista, Harrison, and Dexter, and even having, the original Harry back, those four are what is going to really make this season great for me.
Yeah. The only thing missing, we don't get Jennifer Carpenter back, probably. I don't know. If you look at the cast list for this season, everybody, but
yeah, I don't think she's going to come back. I had kind of hoped that she might be his conscience like Harry is now, but I read an article about it, and there was something, I'll have to go back and do some research, but there was a reason why I don't think she wanted to come back and be this character.
They were married at one point and divorced, so and plus she wants to do more work, I think, outside of what existing characters are out there. Michael C. Hall has invested a lot. He's pretty much producer and executive producer on these shows,
Yeah.
from what I could tell. So he pretty much involved with it. So the other people that were brought in, like Remar coming back, is amazing. Same thing with David Zayas. We got John Lithgow, of all people. It's like, hell, he was up for an Oscar if you look at it. And then you got legendary Jimmy Smits. Come on, from Law and Order. You gotta love him. I love that man. He is such a talent. And then you getting newer people in this, and we do get a preview, something that's very odd with Uma Thurman in this. Let's talk about that character.
Yeah, Uma Thurman plays Charlie, who gave me serious Kill Bill vibes here.
Definitely Tarantino vibes. It almost felt like I was watching The Wolf from Pulp Fiction as well, if you all remember that. Yeah, the cast in Pulp Fiction had somebody listed as the Wolf, and that was Harvey Keitel. And he was the cleanup guy for every murder scene. So actually, there is a new movie that's out there that it's got Brad Pitt and George Clooney. Both play the wolves, and they do exactly what Keitel had done in Pulp Fiction. They clean up a messy murder scene. But that's how I got out of what Uma Thurman was. But she was also investigative within that scene itself. So it seems like she's an independent detective.
Well, if I have this right, the book, when she goes to put that invitation in the serial killer's house she's broken into in his ceiling tile, she pulls out his book of, I guess, trophies.
Correct.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think that's the same serial killer we meet in episode 2, the Winky Fingers Dark Passenger.
Yes.
Am I right? Did I see that correctly?
I think she is a private investigator that is looking specifically for the Dark Passenger serial killer that's in New York City. And she was probably hired specifically. But we don't really get much backstory of any way from her character.
No.
And I'm curious to find out. But it gave me that feel and vibe of a Keitel or how Clooney and Pitt were. But more of a snoop, more of a private dick. Not to take that in the wrong way, everybody, please. Private dick is meant for detective. But we do get at a later point a character that was a private detective as well in another series that I did cover on Panels to Pixels podcast. And that would be the one and only Kristen Ritter, who played Jessica Jones, who was a private detective. And I just love the fact that we're going to get her eventually.
I was like, wait, did she show up? Because I missed it.
No, she didn't. But I'm looking forward to it because I've seen a lot of things on Instagram for the past year. And I was so happy because they played scenes, and this is not spoilery, probably because they'll probably cut them out, in front of the Museum of Natural History, right around Central Park. So I'm from New York, one of the 5 boroughs in New York City, everybody. So it's very much, it's ingrained in my brain. I'm like, I know where that is. So, but it sounds to me like she is been privately booked by somebody to look for this particular serial killer in New York. But the thing is, it's really cool to see Uma Thurman in this.
Yeah.
And I like her. She's a really brilliant actress. I love what she has to bring. I loved her introduction and her detective work.
She's very stealth.
Yes. The question is, it was only a short scene. It didn't really have much within it. And then we don't see her after that within this particular episode. But it did ingrain something in your head saying, hey, I got to look out for this character again. And we do get them later on in episode 2.
Yeah, because I feel like she's working for someone because she makes the call and she's like, it's been delivered. And that invitation has to mean something. And again, y'all note, I'm going in with not watching trailers or anything like that. So if you already know where she's at, they'll be like, this lady knows nothing. It's because I choose to go in as blind as I possibly can. So, but she's obviously working for someone, and we get a little bit more from her in episode 2, but I'm very interested to see, because she's got ninja skills. She is a badass.
She's got cool skills in the sense that she pulls a Willem Dafoe kind of Boondock Saints, listening to music as she's doing it, figuring things out, listening to Staying Alive by the Bee Gees.
Oh.
I'm not going to go into it. You don't want to hear me saying. Anyhow, I thought it was pretty cool because she just puts music on as she's investigating. So I thought that was a kind nod to Defoe and Boondock Saints. So, if you'll remember that investigative work, if you're not a Boondock Saints fan, everybody, I suggest you highly check that movie out. I love that movie. I watch it every year on St. Patty's Day. Anyhow, let's get back to it. We got more coming out, but we do get things that's going on with Harry, though, or Harrison.
Before we move on to Harrison, though, I want to kind of touch base a little bit about how Dexter finds out about where Harrison is, because his physical therapist is talking to him about a body found in New York that was cut into 9 pieces. And if everyone remembers, that's Dexter's MO, and he taught Harrison that when he taught him how to properly kill someone in Reborn. So I liked the whole callback to bringing up Quinn and having Dexter fake the call that he's Quinn to get Batista out of the way so he can buy some time to escape. I just thank you to the writers for giving us a little Quinn callback. I thought that was great.
I thought that was cool.
And then, so he gets to New York, and Harrison, at first, the way they opened up on Harrison with the, great music in this episode, but I thought he was thriving at first, right? Like, I was like, look at Harrison. He's got him a job. He's got an emphatic personality, which actually he's made friends. He's working in this, what would you call it? A hotel? It is a hotel. Yeah.
So, yeah.
He's like a concierge bellhop.
I would say more.
He's getting things for
He
guests.
does turn down services, things of that nature. Yeah.
So, I thought the hallucinations were interesting, and I hope that's something that we get more glimpses of, like when he's going up the elevator to take those 2 gentlemen to their room, and the elevator freezes and opens up to that frozen tundra that he killed his dad, and he sees the blood pouring out. That kind of gave some insight into what's been going on in Harrison's head, that he's gotten away from his dad, but everything that went down, even though I still say he was justified in his decision to shoot his dad, you could tell it's weighing on him, and he's still angry, but also feeling some guilt about it. Just well done for the writers and the directors to pull all that together.
Very true. I like the introduction. I love his rapport with his fellow workers, his love and hatred of his boss.
Oh my God. That was so funny.
Oh my goodness. It reminds me of the movie The Tower of Ben Stiller and Matthew Broderick and a whole bunch of actors that are in there. It literally revolves around a hotel and people living there. And it just gave me those vibes of like, he has this job now and he has to take care and do everything, but he has a love for the people he works with. There's one girl in particular, you could see he wanted to ask her out.
That's the girl he's babysitting for.
Correct.
Yeah.
So you could tell he has a care and interest in her. So that's a love interest. So that's a thing to keep in your head, because who knows what the writers have for us in time. And then obviously the one guy that he has with the watch, his watch fixed. That's what events up to the murder itself. And he was acting out of passion. of what is right and what's wrong. And
he was following a code.
he was following a code. And the way he puts her away to bed in her own hotel room and then cleans up the mess afterwards is perfect to what Dexter does, except he didn't get really the good garbage bags.
No, he didn't. I liked the callback to the way he tied the bags, the way Dexter taught him.
Does, yes.
But I really thought it was interesting the way they brought this side of Harrison out. It was very natural. It flowed very well, and I don't feel like it was forced, like Dexter managing to get out of trouble, and that he met this girl in the hallway, helped her get down to this conference, and then later sees this douchebag, carrying her. She's not conscious. And he tries to walk away from it. He tries to be like, this is not my problem.
Yep.
And then he hears her saying no. And he goes in, and he still at that point is trying to negotiate with this dude that, look, man, this isn't right behavior. And when the guy makes the comment that there's plenty more where she came from, and I liked that the song Bad Decisions was playing when he just was like, no, and he kills the guy.
Yeah, that's a definition of a serial rapist right there.
Yep. And we found that out in episode 2. But
honestly, I like to say it's justifiable homicide. But a lot of people would say, no, you're wrong, because you shouldn't really be taking a life. But in the sense of Harrison's case, I think if you watch the act in progress within that particular scene, Harrison was filled with passion and the way he killed and dismissed that person. So you could tell that Harrison was killing, but still has a conscience.
Yeah.
He has that conscience. But in the sense of like, oh crap, what did I do? I have to clean this up. What did Dad tell me what to do?
Yeah, I love the flashbacks to where he's teaching him how to do this. And we'll talk about it more in episode 2. But I don't know that I've ever seen a father more proud of his son than when Dexter's going through and learning all that Harrison did right. That look creepy pride on his face was wild.
It was a little bit creepy, but the thing is that he's running to his own son in the sense that he had to jump out in a robe, I don't know where he got the money. I forgot where he got the money, but he was able to steal the truck, go to a thrift shop, and in his robe get there and get clothes to drive all the way from where he was, upstate New York, to drive like 4 hours down to New York City to go see his son, and then everything flashing back to his head, and then getting this taxi ride and everything. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was. I really liked how they brought them together, and I liked that it wasn't an immediate, oh, Dad, oh, son, Dad, I'm sorry. Yeah. It
was no family reunion. It was one of those,
There was a decent amount of unrealistic things that happened in this episode, but they really brought it together.
Yeah.
With giving us some more believable storyline, which more than made up for the rest. But
yeah,
the last main note I have on this episode, and I've got just a few little notes, but Claudette, the detective, I love her. I love that this show has brought a female lead detective who is no nonsense, gives zero shits about what people think about her, and is smart. She is so smart. And the way she recognized going through all of those garbage bags at the dump that some of these were tied with special ties. And she's just smart. And I love, a champion representation. And it's great to see a strong female character in a leading role. And I really think she's going to give Dexter a run for his money.
I think so too.
I think her and Batista will probably end up crossing paths and maybe even working together. So I like her. I like her a lot.
I like her a lot too because of her candor and what she does. And which is so funny too, because I already mentioned it before with Uma Thurman as Charlie, but Detective Claudette also has that same feature and feel of Schmidt or whatever his name was that Willem Dafoe plays in Boondock Saints. It gives that investigative look. And it gave me the feel. It's like they split the character in half to these two women, which is perfect because you got one that's a private detective, but you have one that has the feel of that particular character from that movie that was from the FBI. And I thought, okay, I really want to like pick the brains of the writers of the show if they actually did that, because I'm getting the feels from that.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm wrong, but if you have any thoughts and you could say, hey, Mark, you're completely wrong, let us know.
Yeah, leave us feedback.
But if you go back to rewatch it, maybe you'll pick up on the same things that I did, because that was just the first watch. I didn't really get a chance to pick apart these two episodes, but that was just my first thing that I thought. I was like, oh my goodness. But yeah, she's amazing. Katia Saraf, I think her name is, who plays Detective Claudette. Yeah, she was genuine. And I thought I really liked the character, and I'm looking forward to seeing her more and what she has to provide within the show itself. All right. So within the Charlie introduction, before we even get her putting on the headphones and listening to the Bee Gees song, she's introduced and you hear the dong, dong, dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. It's a Nick Cave song, and it's the Red Right Hand, and that's Ghost-Faced Anthem from the movie Scream. They've also used that in Dumb and Dumber as well. But in this case, since they're dealing with a murder or something, it was very convenient that they actually did that. I hope you caught that too.
I did not. You're the music. There are some songs I'll catch. Like I did catch the Bad Decisions that was playing when Harrison killed the sexual predator. But you catch a lot more of that stuff than I do.
I try to.
Musical background.
I try to. I'm very much clued into some music stuff, unfortunately. Every once in a while, I'll be like, oh, there's that song. Yeah. But that's all I have for that. Those are the only notes that I have.
Yeah, the only thing I have left is just I like there was a good callback to how Dexter can't cry.
Yes, he does mention that in his inner monologue when he's looking at Harrison, because it was a sense of pride and feeling that he was grateful that Harrison is healthy and alive and he didn't get taken in.
Yeah.
Even though he knew that it was him that did the murder. Yeah. And to see that, and that's how it ends off, literally, is him in the cab ride looking at Harrison from afar.
Yeah. All right. So moving on to episode 2, we are introduced to our first serial killer. This guy made me very nervous. PSA to everyone who takes ride shares, and this is for the drivers as well. Always make sure you check the photo, check the license plate. And for the drivers, make sure that person matches. It's just this is scary. And this could happen in real life.
Literally just have a body cam on you, everybody, and just have it as you're riding, just in case.
Yeah, I mean, geez. What really got me about this guy is, so he gets in the car and this very nice man who's a family man, he's a victim of circumstance. And it really hit home to me because just everything that's going on right now with, immigrants in this country and the way a lot of them are being unfairly treated. And this hurt my heart that because, this guy was profiled because of who he was. And that is why this serial killer was after him. And he makes that statement that his family lost everything because of people like you. And then this, that's why this guy loses his life. So, and based on the dossier of driver's licenses we found, or that Charlie found in this guy's apartment, he's been doing this for a very long time. So I don't feel bad about seeing this guy hopefully end up on Dexter's kill table.
Yeah, I just find it funny though that they had to actually change the name of it. It's not an Uber, it's not a Lyft, it's an car. You
Yeah.
are car. And you could add that to the list of shitty fake rideshare companies that are out there that pop up on TV so they don't get attacked by Uber or Lyft. It kind of reminds me of what Kevin Smith had done in Jay and Silent Bob's reboot when they actually had to create a rideshare and Ride Me Now for that particular movie.
That's a good one.
So, Kevin, if you're listening, I'm not making fun of the fact that you actually had to have a Ride Me Now and have somebody with a Merkin driving it by Fred Armisen. I'm sure a lot of those companies don't want to be affiliated where somebody gets killed in a ride share,
right?
Uber or Lyft. Yeah. And a PSA like what Becky had given. Yeah. Be careful with what you do. Because honestly, I've been out there where I was like, I was in the worst part of Atlanta at one point and I had to share a ride with somebody else and then they were gone. And I'm like, I'm going in the worst areas of Georgia to get to the airport. Am I going to be dead? And no, I'm not dead, but they were nice people and I tipped them lovely.
The thing that irked me, that kind of got on my nerves about this episode was that Dexter gets the ride with Blessing, meets Blessing, which
that was amazing.
Name is phenomenal. I love that guy. And I swear if he gets killed, I'm going to be pissed. Is that they call this guy the Dark Passenger and that Dexter got so mad.
They took my name.
Like this guy is targeting people and killing them solely because they're immigrants. And that's your primary annoyance. And he brings it up several times. It seemed petty and out of place for Dexter's MO. It just didn't work for me.
It was Dexter's aggravation that somebody would do something like that and call them and be coined as the Dark Passenger, where is something that he held true to himself. It's a sense of pride on his Dark Passenger. And how dare they do that? And then if you think about it, it kind of clues in. This is where Dexter's going to be like, well, I need to aim my sights at this person of what they're doing, how they're doing, and who they're doing it to, for the fact that he got to know Blessing. And by the end of the episode, he's literally living with Blessing in the basement.
Right.
Which is amazing, which it's an attribute to how Dexter is in making friends as distant and as cold as he can be to people and how comforting they are to him as well.
Yeah, no, I like that he found this connection with Blessing, and I like that he chose to take the apartment underneath. I love how welcoming and open Blessing was to invite him to the party, and that Blessing does not at all seem tweaked out or worried by the fact that Dexter's asking all these questions about this Winky Fingers Dark Passenger. It just annoyed me that Dexter, his primary focus would have been this guy's using my name. It just got on my nerves. I thought it was a bit far-fetched and they could have pulled off this entire story without him being kind of petty about, I don't know. It
was a little petty.
It didn't fit. But back to what you were saying about, Blessing and him making this friend, we learned throughout all of these franchises that even when Dexter was younger, it took him a long time, but Dexter realized he needed some type of anchor in his life. And for a very long time, it was Deb. And it was Rita, and then, the friends that he made along the way. And then in Reborn, it was Angela and her kid. And he's now in New York City on his own. And it makes sense that he would gravitate to this very generous man. And I think they will end up with a strong relationship. And he will hopefully be that guy that person that Dexter needs in his life to help him hang on to that normalcy that he's worked so hard to be able to put up that front that he can be normal, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
There's a caveat to that problem, and it's a problem with that caveat. And what happened to a majority of those people?
Well, they're dead now, so
most of them are dead. Angela's not.
But she was smart and realized I'm dealing with a crazy person. And she's like, hey, we're even. You found my friend.
Correct.
Don't mess with me. I won't mess with you kind of situation.
It's like, I know that you're a serial killer. And oh my goodness, I slept with you so many times. But everybody else that Dexter had have passed away in said regard to that. The only person that hasn't passed away due to his involvement with anything is Harrison throughout these years, if you think about it. Even from the original series till now, Harrison was a child during that time, and then come New Blood, he just got reintroduced into his life. And then with Reborn, that was just a flashback, but also shows everything that Dexter gets involved with. He winds up getting people killed if he doesn't kill them himself.
Yeah, he is definitely
He's
risk.
bad karma.
He is he is a risk to everyone that he gets close to, which they end up becoming collateral, and that really does suck. But for now, I'm gonna hang on to the happiness that blessing brings, blessing brings, and hope that he survives. But I want to talk a little bit about the way, Dexter was quick to discover once he had a chance to talk to the gentleman who survived, this faux dark passenger, and he finds the logo on the backpack, stalks this guy. I mean, it just reminded us all of how smart Dexter is and how meticulous he is and how seldom does he make a rash choice or decision. He really thinks things through. And like Carrie taught him, you've got to get the evidence before you make the choice. And then when he's stalking this guy, and I think Ronald is his name. He's stalking Ronald, and he ends up saving that rideshare guy instead of just going and getting his kill, getting that dark urge out of him like he needs to do. And I love that Harry popped in over his shoulder that was like, hey, you just put somebody else before the kill.
Yep.
I liked seeing that more compassionate side of Dexter, making him a little more human.
Yep, it humanizes him.
Yeah, it does, because we need that when dealing with he's a vigilante serial killer, but he's still a serial killer. So these little human moments make a big difference.
Well, you haven't even felt any bloodlust from Dexter himself, really. The only thing that we've gotten was his anger towards the person who calls himself the Dark Passenger, or the serial killer known as the Dark Passenger. That is it. That is all. We have not. But you could tell within his talks about Blessing and Blessing's family, he does care about these people. He cares about Harrison and trying to help protect him from afar. It's funny how he's trying to be a superhero to Harrison with not really being there for Harrison or exposing himself to Harrison.
Yeah, because he thinks that the only way he can do Harrison any good is to be in his life, but be in his life at a distance. And he's just going to literally follow him around, I guess, and make sure because I'm assuming he thinks that Harrison has a dark passenger too, and that this is going to be this isn't
Yeah.
the first kill Harrison's going to have.
Yeah.
And he's going to just hover like any parent would do to make sure that your kid doesn't mess up. But I
Yeah.
don't think most parents' kids are out there, hopefully aren't out there chopping up other people. But I loved how it's creepy. But like I said, when we were talking about last episode, how proud he was of the decisions that Harrison made and how
True.
smart he was about a lot of things. But
Yeah.
that Claudia, that detective, is it Claudia? Is that her name? Claudette. The detective, she got the porcelain in the victim's wounds, figured out the crime of passion. And then she's got her eye on Harrison. So
yeah,
there's I forgot until you brought it up. Harrison has that. He took that guy's watch to get it fixed. So his fingerprints are going to be on that watch.
Correct.
So yeah, that's definitely going to come back. But I like the dynamic. Yeah. And then when Harrison at the end catches a glimpse of Dexter, but Dexter's just gone in the wind, just like that. But then you see how angry Harrison still is with his dad.
Dexter. Yeah.
And he's like, he goes and he sells the truck. He's like, I don't want anything left of him.
Yeah. He doesn't want to be reminded of his own father at that point.
Yeah.
But Dexter shows up like, how Liam Neeson was in, what was that Raimi movie? It was called The Dark, whatever. Anyhow, it's a superhero movie back in the day. Anyhow, he sees him in the distance and it's a half a glimpse. And it's like, did I see him? Didn't I? Kind of look. And you're like, oh no. But I think Harrison deep down knows that Dexter is there in some way. And he's just not, it's like a sixth sense. He knows where his dad is. What I do love about coming towards the end of the episode, when we did get Blessing, he gets Dexter gives Dexter the basement apartment, and Dexter saying he wants to pay his own way. Hey, can I get a job with Urquhart too? So that way he could pay into and pay him, because he doesn't want to feel like a schlemiel or schlemazel or a schlum. But he just wants to be right and do what's right by him and the people who are helping him out, which is very nice of Dexter. It's just who he is. He wants to show his appreciation. And I did really appreciate that. My other takeaway from the actual episode is, that would be our second Charlie spotting. We get this, our single Charlie scene in the episode, and she's traveled to Michigan to let Keith, a serial killer called the Canton Clubber, know that his account has been closed.
The way she was talking, it was almost like they pay into a serial killer fan club or protection club or something.
Which is what I was stating before about the wolf of covering up certain killings or evidence.
Yeah, there's something super shady going on there.
Yeah, her boss made the rules clear. No requests, no demands, or you're out. And then when Keith puts his hands on Charlie's shoulder, she strikes back with his weapon of choice, which is a baseball bat covered in nails.
Anyone else thinking Negan?
Yeah, exactly. Can you say Negan from The Walking Dead?
They stole that straight from The Walking Dead.
So it's with these brief Charlie moments that are pretty much, frankly, for me, much more dynamic than any repetitive scene from the actual Dexter series. So it's showing a little bit more into this particular character, but we still have a lot to learn. Will she be there to protect Dexter? Will she be there to protect Harrison? Will she just show up at Harrison's doorstep and saying, hey, I'm here. If you pay us X amount of money and do all this work, you could get protection from us, like a mob. Who knows? Or maybe she does that to Dexter, or Dexter teams up with her in some way. We don't know. How many episodes do we have within this?
We get 10 episodes, so we've got 8 more.
We got 8 more episodes. That's a lot of content to put within a story and plot within this, unless it carries over into another season. But we'll find out, because we are going to get a Reborn, I believe, right? It was picked up for a season 2.
The one where with young Dexter, yes, there will be a season 2 of that one.
I wouldn't be surprised if after this ends, this season, we get another Reborn episode, because that's how it really started off. What Reborn was a narrative that was a continuation from New Blood, because he was in a life-threatening situation at that point. So maybe he's put into a situation again that he has to reflect on when he was a kid.
The last point I have is Batista in that conversation with Teddy. Oh, Teddy. I loved Batista's face this entire time. Like Teddy thinks he's just forthcoming and giving this, pertinent information, and everything he's telling Batista is very unhelpful, with the exception of one little clue he gives about, was it the truck?
Yes.
The truck. Yes. So Batista's got Teddy's reaching out to vicinities to keep an eye out for that truck. And we know Harrison sold that truck. So that's going to probably be...
No. It's the truck that Dexter stole from the hospital.
No, it was Harrison's truck. It was the truck Harrison took. Yeah.
Okay. All right, good. I thought it was the one that Dexter had stole from the hospital. But
no,
okay.
It was Harrison's truck. So, because he said it was, Harrison left town in this blue truck. So,
okay.
And Harrison sold it to a friend of his. So, curious to see. That's definitely going to come back into play. But I loved Teddy. I'm going to miss Teddy if we don't ever get to see him again. And bless his little heart. And so, yeah, I think we've got a good setup going into these next 8 episodes, and I'm stoked. I'm very stoked to see.
You're Stokes?
Stoked. I am not Dokes. Surprise, motherfucker.
Stokes, whatever.
No, I'm very stoked, excited to see how all this plays out. So, anything else you got on the episodes?
Nothing really. I think I kind of cleaned up everything. I'm just amazed if a lot of you listeners do what I do. Sometimes I'll go on and see who's going to be in the cast of the season, and to figure out when are they going to come in, because we got a lot of people that are coming in that are famous in this.
Yeah, I got some show news. So, according to a Forbes article written by Tim Lammers, as of this publication, this was posted 7/10, the series has earned a 100% fresh rating from Rotten Tomatoes critics based on 21 reviews. The 100% perfect critic score marks the first for the Dexter franchise on Rotten Tomatoes.
The article continues, what are individual critics saying about Dexter Resurrection? Amber Dowling of The Wrap is among the top critics on Rotten Tomatoes who give Dexter Resurrection a fresh review, writing pretty much that Dexter holds a mirror up to society's current obsession with serial killers in an entertaining and somewhat cathartic way that makes the series relevant now. Also, in his fresh review summary for RogerEbert.com and Rotten Tomatoes, Richard Roper writes, this latest iteration is rooted firmly in the haunting and bleak foundation of the original series, which it truly is, because it's haunting, because in this case, it's not really following Dexter. It's Dexter following his own son in something that's very haunting, of possibly of Harrison following in his own footprints and doing the same thing in his own path. But I highly doubt it. I'm still in that idea of newborn, born again, whatever it was, when we first got introduced with Harrison as a semi-young adult. And I'm still out there rooting for Harrison to be a very semi-conscious kid about it. Just he happened to put himself in a position where he had to do something right, and he had to do something similar to what his father did, so that way he could get away with it without being put in prison.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a lot of, they're all going to have to take hard looks at themselves in the mirror, see what's being reflected back to them,
Yes.
and figure out where do they go from here. And I think they're both going to probably end up in a world of shit and are going to end up having to rely on each other to get themselves out of it or to help each other. And hopefully that'll bring some type of healing, especially for Harrison, who's too young to be carrying this much weight on his shoulders. So I'm glad it's getting good.
Yeah. Hopefully the body count isn't bad.
Yeah. So good for the show. So let's hope they keep earning those great reviews.
Very much.
All right, so let's move into feedback. We got an email from our friend Penny Lennox, and Penny is going to be coming on with us for at least one episode, but hopefully for a couple more throughout the season. But she writes, he's back and conveniently cleared of charges. In the first episode, I especially enjoyed the mini ghost haunting Dexter. Same. Not only does he deserve constant reminders of the horrible things he's done, but we, the audience, need them too. I completely agree. It's too easy to root for Dexter. Michael C. Hall, who looks great, by the way, what is his skincare regimen, is warm and charming. That juxtaposition is what made the original show a hit in the first place. When it first aired in 2006, anti-heroes were just beginning to have their day in the TV sun. Rooting for a killer was the new titillating. These days, our scenes are filled with the likes of Walter White, Joe Goldberg, the Joker, Don Draper, of all of the Lannisters, Shauna Shipman, and the list goes on. I like that the show is choosing to remind us of the innocent victims, and it's also fun to see some of the actors reprising iconic roles. I did not have my money on John Lithgow or Jimmy Smits being on the show. Same, I didn't either. And the return of Eric King's Dokes is a delight. Surprise, motherfucker. She says, I'm on board for how the show is set up. The Harrison storyline is compelling enough, but I'm so on the Dark Passenger. How dare he use my secret name plot? Thank you, Penny. Me too. Really looking forward to your coverage and joining you for one or two episodes. Thank you, Penny. We're super stoked.
Awesome. Thanks.
To have you join us soon, and great feedback as always.
Yep. Thank you, Penny. All right. Via our feedback post on Dexter Resurrection Facebook fan page, Michael McTaylor wrote, loved the first two episodes and answered a question I've been wondering about. How's Dexter going to get away with killing a cop? Easy, blame it on the cop and claim self-defense. Laughing emoji. Great Harrison scene with the dead body and 9 parts. Smiley face emoji. Everything was just entertaining throughout the shows. Cheers, surprise, motherfucker. Laughing face emoji.
I think that's going to be the slogan for this season. I don't know where it's going to go, but they gave us jokes and his spicy tongue, and I love it. So thank you so much, Michael. We hope that you will stick with us on this journey and keep sending us some awesome feedback. So we also got a voicemail from our friend Steve Brown, who will also be on with us for an episode or two to talk Dexter. So let's hear his thoughts on these first 2 episodes.
Hello, what's on tonight? This is Steve, and I watched the first 2 episodes of Dexter Resurrection, and I'm intrigued. I'm glad they kind of wrapped up the whole ending of New Blood, giving us, the making Dexter a person again, bringing him back from the dead. Also, he's able to get a driver's license, but also they solved the the mystery of why he's not in jail for the murders that went on there during New Blood, but he's still up there for the Bay Harbor Butcher murders, and Batista is going to try to figure those out. So we'll see how that plays out the rest of the season. It was great to see all the cameos of the old serial killers, John Lithgow and Jimmy Smits, and it's good to see the return of James Remar. Even saw Dokes come back, Eric King. So really excited to see where the rest of this series goes. And Dexter, I don't know that in that second episode where he saved that guy from being killed by the serial killer. We're seeing a different Dexter here after his resurrection. So maybe that's the theme, is that he's changed since he's been brought back to life. I guess we'll see. He's still got to heal up from that gunshot wound. And the Uma Thurman character, I did not know she was going to be in this. So it was great to see her. And I was just like, wait, who is that? And what's she doing? And so this Charlie character, we're going to have to see where she goes from here. Yeah, I'm excited to hear you guys talk about it, and live Steving the third episode. Talk to you later.
Cool. We get live Steving on the third episode.
I love live Steves. They warm my soul. Thank you so much, Steve. Please keep them coming, and I will stalk you until you tell me which episode you're going to come and join us for. So
I'll have to remind him. We have a lot coming up.
Very good.
We'll talk about that soon. Thank you to everyone for writing and calling in. We always enjoy hearing what our listeners have to say, and keep the feedback coming.
And if you would like to leave us some feedback or just say hi, you can email or send us a voice message as an attachment like Steve did to what'sontonight and the number 2 at gmail.com. You can visit our Facebook page where there will be a post for the next episode, and you can leave feedback in the comment section or send us a message through Facebook Messenger. And we can also be found on Instagram at What's On Tonight Podcast and the number 2. We would greatly appreciate it if you leave a comment, like, and or share on your podcast listening app of choice. So, Mark, let's enjoy a Cubano sandwich with Dexter and Batista and share where else listeners can hear us, podcast recommendations, TV suggestions, or anything else you'd like to share. What do you got, Mark?
Well, I could be found on a variety of different podcasts. I could be found on Panels to Pixels podcasts. We are covering and doing several different duties so far. Jamie Dimmick and myself are finalizing our season 3 coverage of Invincible. So we're doing 2 episodes at a time. We've already continued on with episodes 4 and 5. We're going to do 6 and 7 next. Steve Brown and I, who Steve just gave his lovely audio feedback, he and I are covering Ironheart. So we did 1 and 2. We're going to do 3 and 4, and then 5 and 6. And we'll have those completed soon. We also are going to be covering the new Superman movie, and a caveat to comparing the different versions of Superman with a lot of people that were originally on the Fantasy Picks Movie Edition podcast.
Oh, cool.
So you can have Frank Rodriguez, Rob Moda, Adam Gonzalez, and myself talk about all the different versions. We got the Chris Reeves, we got the Henry Cavill, we got the Brandon Routh, and now we got the Noor Cornsweet version. We have a lot more to look forward to on panels. We got The Boys coming out, Peacemaker's coming. You could hear me on Adrenaline Cinema podcast as well. I'm looking forward in the coming year that once we get the Vampcast back together, once Interview with the Vampire season 2 comes out, we're going to be covering that as well.
Yes.
Jamie Dimmick and I will also be following up with some Friday the 13th stuff. We are coming back with the Pirate Core Entertainment podcast, which you are hearing this particular podcast on. We will be doing the Pirate Core Music podcast. So we have some stuff that's coming out. You'll hear myself and my friend James Melville talking about Slipknot, my friend Rob Muir. We're going to talk about Iron Maiden. I'm going to grab my friend Jeff Altieri, and he's in a band called Enrage that is one of the hardcore bands in New York City. And I'm working on a couple of other celebrity style guests like that. And you could also hear more stuff like what's on tonight on the Pyrocore Entertainment podcast, like Dinner with Her.
Alrighty then. Murder Magnets just wrapped our coverage of the amazing second season of Poker Face, and Penny and Kara, along with Sam, are continuing their coverage of Buffy and Angel over on Still Slaying. I want to give a big shout out to Rima and Paik for their coverage of the final season of You. Amazing job. Love how you broke down that finale. It was so good. So you can find all of these podcasts and many more over at podcastica.com. And like Mark mentioned earlier, I do also want to suggest Dinner for Her with my boo, Mandy. I miss you. If you like learning about important women in history, please check out Dinner for Her. You can find the link in our show notes.
To add to that, to the Podcastica Network, we are doing Sandman. So those of you who actually watch Sandman on Netflix, Jamie Dimmick and I are back on. You could hear that on Panels to Pixels podcast as well as podcastica.com. So check that out.
Awesome. And a big thank you to my special guest, Mark, and Pyrocore Entertainment for giving us this platform. Like Mark said, please check out the Pyrocore Entertainment. You can find it on our Facebook page, and there you can find our podcast as well as other podcasts like Mark mentioned, Dinner for Her with our very own Mandy, Adrenaline Cinema podcast, and Panels to Pixels podcast, as well as other projects Mark is working on.
Yeah, we got a lot there. Well, that wraps up our coverage of episodes 1 and 2 of Dexter Resurrection. We will be back next week to cover episode 3, titled Backseat Driver.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. Be nice to people. Maybe it'll be unappreciated, unreciprocated, or ignored, but spread the love anyway. We rise by lifting others. I'm Becky.
And I'm Mark.
We'll catch you next week when we grab the remote and see what's on tonight. Bye.
Kill you later.